Ready? Oh, I didn't see you there. I know I do that one every time. This is one of my prized possessions, and I'll tell you why. It lends itself to the two coaches who were most influential to me when I was a youngster. Bill Sharman was the coach of the 72 Los Angeles Lakers. He coached more than those years, but he was that coach when they won 33 games in the first championship in Los Angeles in 72. And, of course, John Wooden, the great John Wooden, and they collaborated to write this right around 1976. But 1975, John Wooden won his 10th and final championship. 10 out of 12 years, the Bruins won the NCAA title. That's astounding. 74, everybody thought, oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end when they lost in the NCAA semifinals. On that team was Andre McCarter, the point guard that led them to the 75 title. After Coach Wooden said, this is going to be my last game, Andre McCarter. Andre McCarter's on the show tonight. Gotta like that. Also got my boy JT, the captain of the USC baseball team, and Brandon Pate. That's right, Brandon Sports Talk. He's here too. Let's keep building the empire. Start the show.
Hustle on over to Sports Stories DL.
I'm a Venice, California-born, Los Angeles-based sports fan. One that has played, coached, announced, and promoted sports my whole life. My love affair with sports started in my own backyard and has led me to this podcast. Thanks to the support of the Amateur Athletic Union in East Bay, I'm excited to bring you Sports Stories with Denny Lennon.
Sports Stories with Denny Lennon brings subscribers interesting, unique, and uplifting stories. You can find us at sportstoriesdl.com. We're excited to be with you here on LA 36. We also drop audio and video podcasts every Thursday. Wednesday and Friday, we go live at 5 on youtube.com/SSDL. Guests who have shared their stories on the show with Denny include football's best like Trevor Lawrence and Gary Gilliam, and Super Bowl champions Brendan Ironbadejo and Peter Boulware. Kings of the Beach, Karch Karai and St. Smith. Kentucky Derby winner Doug O'Neill. Hall of Famers Jimmy Lennon Jr. and Rudy Tomjanovich. World champions Boom Boom Mancini and Tim Leary. AAU James E. Sullivan Award winners Catherine Plummer, Sabrina Ionescu, and Spencer Lee. Not to mention the head honcho himself, AAU President Dr. Roger Gowdy. Best-selling authors Wesley King, Jeff Pearlman, Eric Nussbaum, and Wayne Coffey. And Sports Stories favorite Norm Bass, the first Black American to play pro football and baseball post-World War II. But wait, did you think we could forget Lakers studio host and the first ever East Bay 74-28 shootout champion, Chris Geeter McGee? Bucket! And how about the voice of SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, Sam Lagana? Do you have an interesting, unique, or uplifting story to tell? Hustle on over to sportstoriesdl.com.
Coming to you live from Los Angeles. We're in the shadow of LAX. It's the top-rated video podcast in the Centinela Adobe Corridor. It's where we share a wall with the Korean United Methodist, and you can see St. Jerome Church from our back porch. We're in the 74-28 studio where Jimbo and Marley run the show, and Buck kicks back until he's got to kick it out. It's SSDL live at 5 on YouTube. That's right, it is. That's right, it is. Welcome in. Happy hour, everybody. It's happy hour. We made it to Friday. We're hanging banners in this city. It's brilliant. We're doing what we do. I got Christine working the chat line on the side. She's going to give you instructions in case you can't get in on the chat. Do that. If you'd like to interact with the show, you can do that. And the instructions will be over there. I already saw my brother Bobby checking in. Way to go, brother Bobby out of Carlsbad. All right. Hey, how about this? My family here. Yep. Well, my oldest brother is. That's good. How about my St. Mark people, my St. Bernard, my VBC, and my AAUers? I need you all. I need everybody. Top 5 states that are repping, that are jumping on the show according to our advanced metrics, analytics, if you will. Although we wouldn't pull a pitcher out and lose the World Series when he's pretty much pitching the no-hitter. We wouldn't do that like they do in Tampa. But we do study these analytics. North Carolina coming in at top 5. I think I know why. Our boy Brandon, who's on the show, he hails from North Carolina. He's pulling a crowd. Atta boy Brandon. Texas coming strong. Pennsylvania, that's where Andre McCarter's from. That makes sense. Oklahoma, Gary and Mary running the fan club out there. Thanks to you. And always the top state outside of California watching the show, OH. IO doing the thing, Ohio. They always are. Okay. Hey, we got a chock full show. Is that what you say? Chock full? I think so. Did you see my banners over here in the background? That would be Dodgers #7 championship, 6 in Los Angeles. And that would be the 17th for the Lakers right there. Solid, isn't it? Hanging banners. That's what we do. All right. What do we have up next? Twitter. You got to go to my Twitter. You have to. At Sports Stories DL's where I'm at. Look at this. These are results. So I asked, made for TV football movie, right? Specific, yet hilarious. More emotional. Brian's song from 1971 or something from Joey from 1977. Brian's song runs away with it. That would be 2 straight weeks that John Capoletti has lost inside of one of my polls. Sorry about that, Heisman winner Cap. All right, SSDL poll. We asked who was the top PA announcer out of the 4 major sports or 4 major franchises here in Los Angeles. Sorry, we left you out, Clippers. You're probably 5th. LAFC, sorry. But hey, out of these top 4, look who crushed it, Sam Lagana. Sam Lagana continues to ride the SSDL bump. We'll learn more about that. Might we even learn about that now? We're going to learn about that now?
Sure.
All right, so look, there's a thing that happens, right? Like, let's say a person goes on Oprah. Right? They get a bump. All of a sudden, their book's a bestseller, so on and so forth. Let's say somebody is able to make it on to, I don't know, Sports Center's top 10. They get a little bump. The SSDL bump, it's real, people. It's real. Okay? Let's learn a little bit. Hey, everybody's got to know about the SSDL bump. That's right. And in the case of Mario Lopez. So here we go. Mario Lopez. We brought it up that he was in Chula Vista, or he grew up in Chula Vista, right? And we put him at forefront of our intro while we were doing live from Chula Vista. Guess what? He gets up on the heritage wall that was built by the one and only Jonas Never in Culver City. Since then, Mario's been on a roll. That's just facts. Sam Lagana comes on the show. He's already holding a high position. No doubt about it. He's the man. Sam's the man. But guess what happens after he comes on the show, does the interview? He does this stylized multi-camera cinematic feature, basically, over at Casablanca. And what happens? Oh, he's the focus of Spectrum News feature. They watch him do the introductions, and he pulls front page with our transcript of the Pally Post, a reputed publication. So how about that? Look at Sam pulling. His star continues to rise. The SSDL bump, it's real. Guess who else is going to probably get a bump? All right. Look, I've been wearing this shirt often, right? It's the Recreate 88 shirt. It's about when the Dodgers won. I went to the wrong guy. It's about when the Dodgers won, when Kirk Gibson and the crew win in 88. And then the Lakers, right? They won in 88, of course. James Worthy, the MVP, who likes the show. Magic's on the shirt, though. And Buck Magic Lennon's our dog. It all ties together. Nonetheless, I was wearing this shirt on this show on LA 36. Marley, can you show that? Yeah, LA 36. Watch this, because, we're syndicated on LA 36. That's me on LA 36 wearing the shirt, and that's like last week, okay? I was doing a feature on Dodger Stadium. Okay, so here you go. What was LeBron doing this whole time? Why wasn't he pushing with the Recreate 88 theme? Why? I don't know, but eventually he jumps on the bandwagon. Let's see what that's all about. How about our Dodgers, right? World Series. We're going to try to recreate 88. We'll learn about that. What do we got next? Recreating 88. There it is. Look at that. So that's the shirt I'm wearing right now. My boy, John Thomas. He's the captain of the USC baseball team. Yep, JT. And he's an entrepreneur of sort. Look at that. And so there you go. There's Gibby and Magic recreating 88. And that's what we're trying to do. Our Lakers, of course, already won the championship. And let's go, Dodgers. Eight days. Where was LeBron for 8 days wearing the shirt?
Taco Tuesday.
We don't really know. Taco Tuesday came and went. He didn't wear the shirt. We put the shirt on. LeBron wants the bump. I get it, LeBron. Who doesn't want the bump? That's fine. Okay. We welcome you in. So it goes Lopez, Lagana, LeBron, Maybe a thing there. Los Angeles killing it too. Hey, who created the shirt? You want to know? We went out and found him. You know why? He wants a bump too. That's why. He wants the SSDL bump. He wants to just go into the stratosphere. He's the captain of the USC baseball team. Yep, you heard me right. JT, our boy, John Thomas. John, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Okay. Look, pictures don't lie, JT. They don't lie. Who wore the shirt first?
Denny Lennon wore the shirt first.
Thank you. Where were you on like October 20th? If I were like, had you under oath and I said, hey, on October 20th, were you or were you not in a parking lot next to the Los Angeles Convention Center handing off a shirt to Denny Lennon?
Absolutely. I met up with Denny Lennon at a Jonas Never mural. Handed him the shirt, and so it went. And
LeBron, at this point, was he wearing the shirt?
No, he wasn't.
He was not. Okay, thank you, JT. Very good. And so, look, the bump is real. I mean, it's happening. And my understanding is, since I put this on our highly rated, top-rated video podcast in the Sentinel Adobe corridor, syndicated on LA 36, I hear that sales have risen.
Bit of an understatement, yeah.
Okay, an understatement. I like it. JT, tell us a little bit first about yourself. Where'd you go to high school, JT?
I went to Harvard Westlake out in Studio City.
Okay.
I'm in my grad school year at USC, my 5th year. With the season getting cut short last year, we wanted to, run it back one more time. So figured out a path academically that made it work, and here we are.
Yeah, that's it. And being part of the program, it's such a rich history at USC. Rod Dado led him to, multiple titles and the like. And it's such an honor to be a captain of a team that has such a rich history.
Absolutely. I mean, it was my dream school. Probably since I was about 10 years old, I had a big brother of sorts, was actually the starting center for a football team from 2007 to 2010, Christopher O'Dowd.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I met him his senior year of high school, and as soon as he got to SC, just spending time around him in the campus, fell in love with it. I'm super happy to be in the position I'm in. Have the people around me that I do.
I had a boy went through college, girl the same, and their rooms didn't look as clean as yours. I'd like to compliment you on actually hanging up some of your clothes in the closet that's behind you. Well done. And I see you're sitting.
More of a factory right now than a room.
I love that. I love it. Entrepreneur, baby. Hey, so the t-shirt sales are going good since the LA 36, hit. And how about I would imagine you jumped on the LeBron thing.
Absolutely. We were all over it. I couldn't even sleep when I saw LeBron in the shirt. Like, I couldn't sleep last night.
Well, did you sleep after you saw me in the shirt?
A little more.
You don't have to answer that. I got a question for you. Does this mean that LeBron's kid Bronny is now on his way to USC to play basketball for the Trojans? Is that what this means?
I have no idea. I think I'd get in trouble if I commented on that.
I won't get you into any trouble. I think we got a shotty here playing for the Trojans. Yeah, we do. Look at you. Hey, I just want to say a couple things. It looks like the hands may be a little late. I'm not going to lie. Look, I coached a little JV high school baseball. And so, if you want to come over, I got a wiffle bat and some wiffle balls. We could take some reps in the backyard. We can work on getting the hands through.
You know what? Actually, since you brought it up, I actually remember this exact pitch. It was against Arkansas. It was a 1-1 count and a hit and run. That was a line drive through the 6 hole for a single. So I don't want to hear what the fans were.
Brilliant. I love that about baseball. Man, you can remember every pitch. Absolutely. And when I played, but and then I stopped playing a little league or whatever. And then when I started to coach in high school, I quickly realized every pitch is so important and that I was getting out coached. So I had to rally myself up and lead my St. Bernard Vikings to a 35-2 record over 2 years in JV. I was a part of a big program, so I was fortunate to have some good players. Hey, what's it looking like for this year for your mighty Trojans?
We're really focused on maintaining the culture shift that we brought about last year. We got a great coaching staff, a great group of guys who are bought into what they're preaching. I believe it's a recipe for success. I'm really excited. We're going to go out there and we're going to, do things the way we decided as a team to do things, and we're going to hold each other accountable to all that. And, the rest will play itself out.
All right. Well, hopefully you'll continue to come back on the show. Maybe you'll update us every now and again about what's going on. I'd like that. How do we get how do people get everybody that I've handed this off to? Jonas Never, the muralist. I've handed this off to Chris Geeter, the Laker broadcaster, and then also to Sam Lagana, voice of the Rams. So, I did what I could, and people are stoked on this shirt. It was a brilliant idea. And also I love I think it's down at the bottom there, the little tag with the two trophies. And
my favorite part too.
And we did it. Now, you weren't born. You were born in what year? Probably like 98 or something.
97, yeah. 97.
Yeah. So you finally saw your Dodgers win a championship.
Yeah, it was a nice little ode to my father. He's born and raised in LA, huge Dodgers Lakers fan. He was actually at Game 1 when Kirk Gibson hit the walk-off.
Oh my goodness.
So for me and my buddy Chase Aldridge, who designed the shirt with me, as LA kids, we've known each other since I think I actually met him before I turned 1 year old because our parents knew each other.
Wow.
So for us as LA kids to see the shirt do what it's doing it's pretty crazy.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's great. How do people get the shirt?
That's the link right there on the bottom. Go to it.
Okay, that's it. And I understand if they buy a shirt, you send them an autographed baseball as signed USC captain. Is that correct? No,
I don't think I could do that.
Oh, okay. Sharp, kids sharp too. We like that. JT, good man. I certainly appreciate you jumping on and confirming that I wore the shirt first, pushed the sales forward, and then LeBron jumped on my bandwagon. Thank you for confirming that.
Absolutely. And, if the viewers remember anything, it's that Denny Lennon wore it first.
Good man. All right, JT. Appreciate you, buddy.
You have a good one. Thank you.
Go Trojans, man. Oh, I could say go Trojans. Remember, I know Coach Wooden, coach for UCLA, and people at UCLA hate USC. I don't. I want both of them to do well because I'm an LA guy, and I love when my SC teams do well. Same with my UCLA teams. It's the way it is. That's our boy, JT, confirming what we now all know. We wore the shirt first. Whatever, LeBron. Okay, that's fine. We should get together with LeBron for Taco Tuesdays. That would be fun. We'll both wear our shirts. Okay, what do we got next? We got
Andre McCarter.
Oh, we get to go. Look, here's what happened. And then we'll play his walk up, and then we'll go from there. First and foremost, Andre McCarter is clearly a Wooden guy. John, the greatest coach in the history of college basketball, if not all of athletics. He's clearly a Wooden guy. He tried forever to get on our app that we use, Be Live. Shout out Be Live. Make it easier for everybody. Make it easier for everybody to get on your app. And he clearly gave all of the effort Coach Wooden would be proud of to get on the app with what he had his hookup. Okay. He tried every angle. So we're going to bring him in by phone because we bought an audio mixer that takes phone calls. Has nothing to do with Be Live. That said, we appreciate Andre McCarter coming on. Now, I want to just say this. One of the key moments, let's look back to 1980 and when the Olympic hockey team beat the Soviet Union, Miracle on Ice game, right? They still had to play and win the gold medal. And they got in that room and they realized that there's no way they were going to lose that game. They were going to remember it the rest of their effing lives if they lost, according to Herb Brooks, right? Can you imagine after the greatest coach in all of college basketball and you're on that team and you're in the locker room in 1975? So the Bruins had won 7 straight, lost 1, and then here they are in the semifinals in 75. So they win. They beat Louisville in overtime. And they're in the locker room, and Coach Wooden comes in and says to the team, I'm so proud of you. I really enjoy this team as much, if not more, than any other team I've ever had. And it's an honor to say this will be the last team I coach at UCLA. Wait, what? Coach just said to the team he's going out after Monday night in that game. Can you imagine that? That's a moment in college history. And our guy is the point guard for that team, Andre McCarter. And guess what they did on Monday night? Beat the Kentucky Wildcats. Number 10, coach gets to walk out with that net. Brilliant. All right, McCarter's our guy. He's on the show. Let's bring him in with a montage.
Wave the magic wand and get these guys under control.
2 out of 8 free throws for UCLA. That could get you beat. McCarter up with the ball. With a man wide open and he didn't see Turgovic. Turgovic shoots and hits it. 39-34. Andre McCarter has made some outstanding steals tonight.
He's a 2-time All-American from Overbrook High School in Philadelphia, the famous Overbrook High School. He's a 1975 national champion. Let's bring him on. He's coming by phone. Andre McCarter. Hi, Andre. You there?
Hey, Denny. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thank you for all of your efforts on coming on the show. Much appreciated.
Oh, no problem.
Very exciting. I got to tell you, Andre, my youth was tied so closely into your UCLA teams because I was born in '64. So by the time I was really catching up with the Bruins, I was anywhere 7, 8 years old and jumped on that bandwagon. But man, that '75 team was my team, and you're the guy that took them to that championship.
Yeah, that's a great time, and especially for a little boy, I'm sure this time to see a team that was winning all the time probably gave you a good foundation that you got to work hard and do good things to, try to reach the top. And it wasn't easy, but it was fun, and it was a great time, an unbelievable basketball time.
Absolutely. Coach Wooden often spoke about your team, and he didn't often single out players or teams, but he did just seem to single out that team an awful lot about, how much he enjoyed coaching that team. Did you kind of feel that? Because you had certainly been part of the program for a while. Did you feel that particular year?
Yeah, it was different because, he had a team that I was a part of earlier on that had won 88 straight games, and that equates to about 2 NCAA undefeated seasons. I mean, they went 60-0 and broke Bill Russell's record by going 61 games straight because Bill Russell won 2 at USF in college. And so it was a big deal. And that team had, after you keep going to the mountaintop, it can be difficult to keep climbing that mountain again. And, guys, no matter how much you try, some guys get a little, not big-headed, I don't want to say, but just feel like, they could just do it again without remembering, making sure all the little details that Coach was so good at that they were still important to win. And so I think he felt the pressure because of Bill Walton and similar like when Lou Alcindor was at UCLA, that you were supposed to win. And that's another pressure that Coach Wooden had to deal with. The fact that those teams you were supposed to win 3 in a row.
Which was ridiculous. Like those expectations are ridiculous when you consider how many great teams were out there in those days, how many great players, were across the landscape. And it's unreal what your teams did achieve. Right.
Well, yeah, when you played every game, the opponent, you're talking about a target on the back or the front or whatever you want to call it. You definitely had that because you were the target every time someone played. They tried to get they could. But to answer your question about and then in '75, I think they thought they had Wooden. They had Wooden this time. You're not going to win. Bill Walton's going. Jamal Wilkes gone. This guy's going. That guy's going from that group of team, part of our team, that they just felt like they had one. So for us, we didn't cause trouble for Coach. Not that the other team did a lot, but just had different personalities. And our team was just wanting to prove itself. Myself and Pete Turgovich, we were overlooked. People, didn't realize the sacrifices we made to play at UCLA. They didn't think we were as good as we ended up showing that we were. And they thought, UCLA didn't have the manpower to win another championship. So they figured this was it for Wooden after, North Carolina State beat us in 1974. That was going to be the end of Wooden.
Yeah. Yeah. Same way they, Andre, I think the same way they kind of it was that swing year between Alcindor and Walton when they didn't realize Wicks and Rowe were coming at you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very good. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You and Turkovich were, Coach Wooden singled you guys out as perhaps the best defensive backcourt he ever had. That's high praise.
Yeah. Well, that is something because he very rarely did it. And, Pete and I were known for other things that we, are known for, myself ball handling and passing and all these other things. And, I used to be a walking triple-double in high school. And Pete was a scoring machine. We used to call him, Pistol Pete Turkovich, so he could score points and all, but he had to make sacrifices too. So you didn't get to see all that, in Coach Wooden's system because we had so many great players. But when the time was needed to bring it out, we brought it out to take care of the business at hand to prove that we belong with the other championship teams too.
That's so great. It's so exciting to talk to you and to just dip in this part of history of what's just NCAA basketball has changed a lot over the years, but back then it was such an important part of both regional and national landscape, and it was such a point of pride in Los Angeles. So you came from Philadelphia in the Overbrook High School, this legendary high school that Wilt Chamberlain, Walt Hazzard, and others had come from. And how was it that UCLA was on your radar and you would come out to Los Angeles?
Well, Lou Alcindor had a big part to do it, who is now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I grew up, we used to play New York, Philadelphia games growing up. And so we knew the New York players and New York players knew us. And we each age group, 12, 14, 16. So I grew up in that system of doing that every year. And so we learned about the New York players. They learned about us. And I was taught to play basketball to win. And that's what I did in high school. It wasn't that I was, the greatest, athletic person. It's just that my IQ in the game and my ability to see the game and handle the ball and just do whatever it took to win is how I played. So I was attracted to a winner like him that won all these games in high school. I actually tried to duplicate some of the records he did in high school just as far as winning, even though he was a center and I was a guard. So he had a lot of influence on me looking at UCLA and starting to pay attention to what they were doing out in California.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting. I think one of the things, I love is diving into different cities, especially big urban cities and their history in the sport of high school basketball. I've always, of course, favor my Los Angeles people. But when you were coming out, I think you were probably top recruit in the country. There was Raymond Lewis, who was out my way, Vermont High School. And then Quinn Buckner, I think somewhere out of Chicago area or Illinois or something.
Well, Quinn came after us.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't Ray and I's last year. But just a quick note on Raymond Lewis. I got a chance to finally meet him. We played against him, as a freshman on our freshman team, and he dropped, I think, 40 on us. He was an unbelievable player. He just, I don't know if he was evidently they came 3,000 miles to get me. So maybe he didn't fit in. And that's something Coach Wooden and them would have to answer, why they didn't get Lewis. But he was a different player than me. We were totally different. But he could score. I mean, in today's game, he would have been lighting them up. And he was coming across half court and shooting some of those Steph Curry shots back then. So, he had a way about him that he was just a scoring machine. He could pull up on the dime and hit the jumpers all over the place. So he'd rain points. I think in one of those years he had 73 points in the college game and other stuff. He's an amazing player.
Yeah, he was.
So being touted, a guard with that type of guy around, means a lot. Especially met him later, and we, got to personally talk to each other, and I really, loved Raymond Lewis.
Out this way, Vermont High School was a rival of the high school I went to, and I was early 80s at St. Bernard High School. But I got to see those Vermont teams, and they're unbelievable. There's a different dynamic, however, in Philadelphia where you grew up, which was there was a separation, I think, between the public and the private schools, and then they would play each other for the city championship at the end. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, the way it was in Philadelphia, I mean, at the time when I was playing, basketball was the golden age of basketball. So you got to think about that. All the playgrounds, people were playing everywhere, players everywhere. There was good players everywhere. And so they had the public league was mostly the inner city schools, West Philadelphia, North Philly, South Philly contained most of the schools in Germantown, had most of the public league schools. Then they had the Catholic League, which is a league of all the Catholic League schools. So we wouldn't play them maybe in the preseason or something like that, pick up a game or two with them. But they stayed separate and we stayed separate. Then to win the city championship, one or the other had to beat the other one to win the city championship. And that was as far as we could go in those days. I don't remember exactly. Something happened with the Philadelphia schools that prevented them from going on to the state. So we just stepped. But us winning when you won the public league, the city championship in Philadelphia,
That was it.
they pretty much said, hey, you guys went on and won the state too, but we never got a chance to go at it.
When you came out west, I understand one of your early roommates was Craig Impelman, who's been on our show. People that watch our show will remember Coach Imp, grandson-in-law to Coach Wood, and he's quite the character, Andre. I would imagine he was a lot of fun to room with.
Yeah, he's one of the first guys I came with, and I fixed him a meal that he'd probably laugh about. I'm not going to tell the audience what was in the meal, but it was good. He said, I never seen anybody cook that like that before. But, we got along, and he was very like a gym rat type of guy, so I liked being around him because he was a basketball guy. He just loved to play basketball. He wasn't on a team or anything, but he loved basketball, so he'd come in the gym and, and whatever I wanted to do or he wanted to do playing basketball, we would get at it. So it was a good first roommate to get to bring my comfort level, being so far away from home and, connecting in with somebody. So Craig was the first step in, bringing comfortability to me here in Los Angeles.
I would imagine there was quite a transition for you, not only coming, from the East Coast to the West Coast, but then Coach Wooden wanted to break down your game and kind of move you towards being a facilitator away from being a scorer. Is that accurate?
Yeah, but it's not a matter of Coach breaking down. Obviously I've had years and I'm writing stuff about it as we're speaking, and have been writing stuff about all of this stuff. But it's not so. And so I put a lot of thought in, is what I'm trying to say. So, but it's not so much breaking the game down. I played to win. That's what I came to UCLA to prove. I can go with the best and continue to win. And that's what I wanted to do. So that was my mindset. It wasn't. I played basketball to win. People kind of walk over that. I wasn't caring about the points and who was the star. I wasn't into that when I was the star in Philadelphia. I wasn't into that. I wanted to win and play good basketball. Well, Coach Wooden, ended up. It felt like that in the beginning, like what you said about breaking down my game or whatever. But now I look back at Coach Wooden. It would have took the win, and you have all these players. You got Bill Walton. He's shooting, 67, it's almost 70% from the field. You got Jamal Wilkes. He's shooting even a 15-footer, around 60% or so from the. You got guys, Richard Washington, great shooter. There's a lot of people that can score. So if everybody did what they could do, and I started doing what I could do, because I would dominate the ball, because I had got the rebound, you get the ball to me. Running offense, you get it. So I could have drove to the basket 1,000 times. Now I could have got 30 a game and 10 assists, which was my normal hookup when I played basketball. But will we win the championship?
Right.
So that's the question. Would I get in the way of Walton? And I'm taking shots that I can give it to Walton. He's shooting 70% from the field, whatever. So when you look at it more, with time going by, you see that Coach Wooden did whatever it took, and that's all he was about. He wanted to get the guys to play together and be the best that they can be. And most of the time, if you did those two things, you're going to win without him having to say, go out there and win. He trained you.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about that 1974 team. The favorite part of doing this and getting to interview guys like yourself is diving in. And I'm fortunate to live in this age where YouTube still can have some of this game footage. And so I was able to watch not only your 75 national championship game, but the 74 semifinal game against North Carolina State, and David Thompson was something else, boy. He was something else.
Oh, yeah.
He was something else.
Skywalker.
Oh my goodness! And you know, Tom Burleson played a really good game. Did you feel like that game got away from Coach Wooden a little? And I'm going to say this, and I'm the biggest Coach Wooden guy, but it just seemed like North Carolina State dictated pace throughout that game, and they pulled it out, and it seemed like they did a really good job of managing the game.
Yeah, let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
So first of all, Coach Wooden had some tough decisions to make. You got to understand, the team that won his championship in 1975 was on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I played every minute in 1975, and they added an extra game. That's a little bit of history. They added an extra game in 1975. It used to be 4 games you had to win the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
So they added a 5th game, which was another whole story that I write about, but I'm not going to get into that now.
Mm-hmm. So
Coach is sitting there, and so here's a guy, here's a person, you take it into like personal relationships. Here's the girl you've been going to the dance with. You went to the dance with her, the school dance, you went to the prom with her. You had your summer vacation with your families, and you went with her. Now you get to this one point where it's a real important situation, and who you going to go with? What girl? What girl?
Yeah, easy choice.
I'm not going with the girl that got me 88 straight wins. I'm going with that won the last 2 NCAA championships undefeated.
Right.
I'm going, and that's the part that in later, discussions with Coach that he and I debate over, because what we needed, he actually had it on the bench, but it was a tough decision for him. So I don't think he, you can look at it however you want to. I think he just went what he thought was the guys that got him what they had gotten them, and they would come back and do it again. But looking at it, some of the coaches, tried to say, maybe to get me in, because we really needed ball handling. Despite everything that happened, about a minute and 45 seconds left, we're up by 7. That never happens. So it was some things, some signs of problems that, little things that were popping up. And maybe for some reason, Coach didn't look at it that way. He just had confidence in these guys. These guys had done a lot for him. Yeah. And I think he just went with his instinct there instead of saying, hey, I got these young guys over here. They got talent. They can, and you talking about handling the ball and keeping the ball safe. That was my expert. I'm AKA the dribbler in the street.
Yeah, you are. I love that you just broke that down for me. That's brilliant. I really, I understand exactly what you're saying, and it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. I understand that even at coaching at lower levels, going with the people who got you there. And that makes sense because, like you mentioned, there was a minute 45. You had a 7-point lead. That should have been iced, and you were sitting right there next to him. But fact of the matter was, those guys that were on the court, they did. They were the ones who were part of that 88-game win streak.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. I like that. Thank you. You know what? Now I'm feeling a lot better about coaching that game, Andre. Feel a lot better. Well,
when you read the stuff I write, you're going to really feel like you know something, because I really take you in. I'm just giving you a surface.
I love it. Okay. We'll look forward to that. Make sure that we're able to push that. Now, in the 1975 season, you guys had another, tremendous season. And as you mentioned, they added another round. And then I think we're looking at a picture just so you know. Oh, by the way, I wanted to let you know I popped on my UCLA hat to interview you, Andre.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I did. And so that 1975 semifinal, it was interesting that the year before you're back in Greensboro, I think, and so you're playing basically in North Carolina State's, hometown. And then this year in 75, the schools had to come out west, and they went down to the San Diego Sports Arena, which I've always, called one of the worst arenas that was ever built. But you guys were able to pull out the victory, and that was a big one over Louisville in overtime against Denny Crum, who used to coach, of course, on Coach Wooden's staff.
Yes. Yeah, so we were playing ourselves somewhat. Yeah, they had players at every position, the quickness, the athleticism, and the well-coached Denny Crum teams. And so it was a very difficult win. But like I said, that year we weren't going to be denied. And it actually, it took all that to win the overtime and this and that and other, but it was something about our team that we weren't going to be denied. And we stuck in there, never gave up. And I tell some more in-depth stories about what happened there, but we just never gave up. Yeah, we never felt we were going to lose, and we just knew we had to win. And
I was a big Marcus Johnson fan, because he was a Crenshaw High School guy, so I knew he was out our way, and it was so fun to see him break through and have such a good tournament. Can you tell me a little bit, or hopefully I portrayed, with accuracy, you guys, the what coach said to you after the semifinal game about how Monday night would be his last game?
Yeah, well, that story's been told.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, after the game, coach didn't really like the media to always just like pounce on you anyway.
Mm.
So he had a little thing that was a little different that they didn't like, especially I guess from when Kareem was there.
Mm-hmm.
So, he when we came in, he basically shut the door on the media. Because it's pandemonium at this point. You done won, people jumping all around. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Get in the locker room, and he closes out the media, and it's just us in there. And he just told the guys, "Well, hold up, I got something to tell you guys." So we kind of gathered together. One of them, he says, "This is Saturday is going to be my last, game." So we were like, I still had another year with them, and some other guys, younger guys, their careers, Gavin Smith and Jimmy Spillanes and them type of people, they still had 3-4 years expecting coach wouldn't be their coach. So now this guy's saying, got there.
Mm-hmm.
Type of people, coaches, this next game is it.
Mm.
I just, after it sunk all in, I just said, well, he's sending coach out as a winner, period.
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
period.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I even, I pulled the Joe Namath or whatever. Back in the day,
Yep. Oh, man.
Hey, yeah, but we weren't predicted to win, though. Once again, they had in the paper, sure enough, the next day, Kentucky's too strong and powerful. They got this and that. They got reserves. They got this. They got that. And, I wasn't, whatever they say, in my mind was locked in at that point. I don't care what they say.
Yeah, you weren't having that. You weren't having that.
Yeah.
And you controlled the end of that game, Andre. I think you controlled the end of that game. I watched that game and looked at it more like a coach than a UCLA fan. Mm-hmm. And your ball handling, you had the key buckets that came down the stretch. And you took control down the stretch to make sure that happened.
Right. Well, it's even more. It's even more to it. Not trying to brag or anything. It's even more to it, Denny. Because if you listen to Kurt Galley, people don't know that. Don't go back that far.
Mm-hmm.
Galley was like the greatest announcer around at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty much he's doing your game. Yeah, Billy Packer, who ended up being
that's right.
The college people of all time as far as college basketball and everything, announced that game. And one of the things that they were saying is that the control of the game that I was doing is something I had learned. See, these guys today don't understand. See, I knew how to do the tempo of the game. Mm-hmm. That's what made me. It wasn't all this other. I knew how to read the game, mismatches, the speed of the game, what the other team's trying to do, and control the speed of the game when we need to go fast and when we need to go slow. Plus, Coach Wooden didn't put a lot of reserves in the game. So this Kentucky team, they got a whole bench full of guys they running in there, So you had to play the game a certain way, not just playing like mindless. Somebody had to be like, and Kurt Galley started bringing that out. McCarter is controlling the tempo of the game, and people don't really get into that now. But it's so important. Like today, the value of the way I played then in today's game, they look. Every coach in the world is looking for a player like that. They can control the tempo, know when to run, other teams doing, and to know how to pinpoint mismatches and how to milk a game. Yeah. See, players, they'll come down and give the ball to like Dwight Howard or something to the Lakers. They throw the ball in to Dwight Howard, and then he scores a bucket. Okay. Then they might come down and pull up for a three.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, but you want to play. But see, me, Andre McCarter, is the point guard. No, I'm going to go down there and work that situation with the White until they do something about it. Now, they start doubling the White because they can't stop him.
Sure.
And we go plan B. But they don't play basketball. It's more of a random, just go do it type of game now. But back then, that style was very helpful in us winning that championship.
Yeah, it was. My producer just made a big play, talking about a big play. She just showed the last bucket in the Wooden era of you going down, the middle after you stretch them out a little bit, reverse your dribble, and then you go down and score. And so our fans got to see that right now. And it was such a big moment. And then they quickly went over to Coach Wooden with this rolled up, program in his hand. And he gave you the double tap where he goes, he has that right up. He goes like, well done, Andre, well done. And I was like, well done, damn it. That was a championship.
Yeah, that's it.
That's something else. That is something else. One of the things Coach Impelman told me about, he said, you got to understand, Andre got up early when he was at UCLA and he ran the cross-country track there. So he'd get up early, like 5 a.m., and he'd run and work at it constantly, and that he could dribble two balls as fast as anybody could dribble one ball on a court. And is that true?
Yeah. I'm not
awesome.
AKA for nothing. It's funny. The boy, I told you I played those New York Philadelphia games.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get the name, the dribbler from my hometown boys. The boys from New York gave me my nickname.
Nice.
They called me. Now the competition in the other city giving you some perks.
Yeah.
You dribbling. If they call it, man, that's the dribbler over there from Philly. So if you get that name, the dribbler from your enemies, for lack of a better word,
I love it.
Then you're doing some dribbling. So that's all real.
Is your prowess with dribbling and then playing for the great fundamental teacher that Coach Wooden is that what led you to develop the TouchGlove, which is this, a glove that really emphasizes fingertip control of the basketball?
Yes, and I'm glad you switched over to that because TouchGlove is something I had a gift for touch. My touch, the dribbling is a definition I made up of dribbling through my what I call TouchGlove Lab, which I've been doing for about 10 years to train players and kids and stuff. And in the TouchGlove Lab, one of my definitions is dribbling is the ability to make the ball come up at the speed you need it when you need it. So in other words, if I'm dribbling the ball, there's a game we were playing Arizona, and Lionel Hollins was a really good defensive player. Also, plus he was built a little more like a man when we were in college. I was kind of lean. Lionel Hollins was, like a man, strong, and so he was guarding me. He was like in my jock. In those days we wore jock straps.
Right.
He was in there like all on me. And yet I could dribble the ball, still take care of the business, and actually do some lobs from that position.
Okay.
Why? Because I never had to look at the ball. Because my touch, when I felt the ball go down and come back up, I knew the speed it was going to come up because I had that touch. It's golden. So I can look and preserve, and keep him at bay and still make a play. But a lot of players can't do that because they're touch. If you dribble the ball and you don't have a really good touch, you have to look at that ball. Where's that ball at? To make sure it's coming back up. So you see a lot of players sometimes at the wrong time. They have to look at the ball because when they put it down, they didn't have to feel and touch for when it was going to come back up at the speed they needed to.
Yeah.
So I tried to teach that to kids. And when I started realizing that I always used to travel all around the United States. I had a guy in Boise, Idaho, who used to get UCLA players, and we go to all these camps as guests, and we fly in two-seater planes all over Wyoming, Montana, all over the place, all over the country. And I would try to teach it, and I started realizing that the kids want to do it. I said, man, you have to use your fingertips. The ball not supposed to be on the palm of your hand because that's what messes it up. People that get the ball in the palm of their hand, they lose the ability to have the real touch that they need when they're shooting or anything. It's all the same thing. Dribbling, passing, shooting, it's all the same thing. So when I realized that I would tell them to go through, they say, okay, Coach McCarter, they go out there and then they go right back to the bad habits. So TouchGlove was kind of a response that, came up because I'm an inventor anyway. I've invented some other products or whatever before. And so the idea came to me. It was like a blessing. And then as soon as I got the idea, the name came with it right away. As soon as I thought about what they would do, the idea for TouchGlove came. And so what the TouchGlove basically does is that it's a disruptive technology. It's science-backed. It's a sports training centered around the concept of generating touch as it relates to muscle memory and brain functionality. And the power of it is that it's a patented. I got a patent from the U.S. government. So I'm saying now you have to do in a scientific way to get a patent. It's not an easy thing. If you go up, they don't just give out patents, especially for what I was trying to do, which is develop something that actually gives person a chance to get better touch. So it's a patented product that has 3 essential components, and it's nobody's ever gathered this same technology to 3 different things into one thing. The first one is self-correcting technology that we have. What it does is that's my secret formula. That's something that others can't duplicate because they don't know what their formula is. And it fuels constant connection between the ball, fingertips, the eyes, and all those things that work together to make touch. And so it produces the entity of touch. So my theory right now is that in basketball, because the game has changed from my day, and even since my day, even from the 80s and 90s, game has changed. Steph Curry and these other people, and Lillard and these guys, and Kevin Durant being the 7-footer, being able to shoot, distance as he is, touch is becoming a more valuable thing. So to me, my point to the world in basketball, the game that I love, is that in order for the future to come, for the now and the future to come, you need a product that's going to improve your touch in order for you to get your money.
Right.
So I tell a lot of these guys that, of course, young people know, they know a lot of stuff, so they think. So I say, hey, man, your money is in your touch. You got to get the touch. If you're 7 foot in my day, you can play basketball and have brick hands.
Yeah, that's right.
But now you can't do that. You got to be able to catch lobs. You got to be able to make passes. You got to be able to dribble the ball a little bit. So I look at Jokic, Nikola Jokic, and Duncan Robinson are 2 of my examples of where touch is to really separate for people how important touch is. So these 2 players, in my opinion, athletically, would not be in the NBA if they didn't have a golden touch. Jokic, to me, is the best center in the NBA because of his touch. I mean, he has a golden touch. He can shoot runners, floaters, bankers, threes.
He can.
The ball on the floor. He makes perfect, good passes with touch on it. So he's letting you know that there is a level of touch that you're going to have as the game increases. Now you got Lillard pulling up, where Steph Curry and these guys. I mean, so I see the game coming to a point where it's going to be a 4-point shot. This is my vision for basketball. So I'm saying have the product that can get you to where you need to be, unlike anything else that's out there. Nothing else is nobody's even proposing that they can improve your touch because it's God-given. Most people, I had what I had. It was, I worked on what I had, but I had a gift. Yeah. As soon as I took the ball, I had that ability. I was the biggest kid in elementary school, but I could dribble. So that's a gift. But now I'm saying to other people that I have a way of getting that touch that I possess and other shooters and other people that you see out here to improve yours. So that's the powerful point. Now, getting people to understand that is available is what the marketing, and all the things you have to do to convince. So, but this type of exposure, hopefully, because my thing is backed on the love of the game. Right. When I first got TouchGloves, I spent a year, Denny, before I even put them out on the market, working them myself. So most people don't do that. If they get something, they invent something, they get a patent for it. Yeah. They're not spending a year. I spent a year. Why? Because my name, I'm not the biggest name person, but I got a name. I got a reputation. I haven't been known to do anything unscrupulous, pretty much out here. So my name is important to me. So when I put it out on a person saying, oh, this is a piece of junk or this is some gimmick or whatever like that. So I spent a year. I used to get up early in the morning, go to the Wooden Center at UCLA, and I'd go through an hour to an hour and a half session with it. And I had one time it was a gym rat in the gym, and he used to see me come in there. And one day he said, "Tell me about this girl." So I tell him about her, right? this guy was one of the head people for the neurology department at UCLA. And he said, everything you're saying in layman's term, of course, I wasn't using, their technology, their names and things, scientific names. But he said, everything you're explaining is definitely feasible and possible. And he actually wrote an article with Georgia Sports and Medicine Performance on touch. And then he, at the end of it, he said, and there's a product called TouchGlove that actually can help enhance. He was using Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods and all the people that had great touch in their fields. He talked about touch and how important it was, and then he said the TouchGlove was something that he knew about or whatever. And so
it's impressive to get the patent, to go through that process, and I just listening to you, and I can kind of see where I went wrong. My particular skill in high school basketball, Andre, was to foul people, and I tried to get a patent on fouling, and it didn't work out.
Right.
So it just didn't work out so good for me, Andre. That's brilliant. I love hearing all of that, and I especially love hearing, so many of the people that came and went through UCLA, and whether that was Coach Wood and whether that was, UCLA as an institution in Los Angeles, and people that have gone on to do these great things, whether that's invent things, write books, move society forward. It's always impressive to hear what's coming out of UCLA, and I'm sure you've made the university proud by being part of what they do.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on and, letting me express myself, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Of course, Andre. I'd love to follow up at some point, talk a little bit more about the TouchGlove, maybe go in depth on some stuff. And thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Denny. Have a good one.
All right, Andre. Hey, the 1975 champion. He did that for Coach. I'm going to switch back over to my other mic. Wow, Andre. Okay, come on, man. I get to talk. I'm so fortunate in having jumped into doing what's going on in this video podcast world, right? So I get to talk to people, like Lynn Guerin, who spent the last few years of Coach's life with them, writing the John R. Wooden course. How about Craig Impelman, his grandson-in-law, and getting that opportunity to do? And then, you get to talk to somebody like Andre McCarter. It's the best, man. It's the best. I mean, that was my childhood. What's so important to me was UCLA basketball and Lakers basketball, and I emulated those guys, and I get to talk to him. That's pretty cool. And he's an inventor. Oh, yes. How about this? I didn't get to talk to Andre about this. Darn it. He was instrumental. I get to say it now, so it's saved for forever. He was instrumental in getting Coach Wooden the Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor that a president can bestow. Andre put him up for that and led the charge so that Coach got that award. Coach was not about awards, but that one was about him, man. Coach made our country a better place, and Andre knew that, and he led that charge. Good on you, Andre. Also, I didn't give Andre a chance to thank Carlos by way of our production staff, that'd be Marley, getting the food to Andre from Casablanca. So there you go, Carlos. There's your whatever your shout out. Carlos always making me do things. Okay, I am excited to do this next thing, and that's to bring on my boy Brandon Pate. Brandon Sports Talk. He's also Brandon Sports Photography. I got an opportunity to be on his show, and I said, hey, this kid gets after it. He hustles. He's going to come on the show, and we found him, and here he is coming in from North Carolina. Brandon, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, Brandon, thanks for hanging on so long. I hope you didn't mind hanging in there with Andre McCarter, but, man, that's a piece of history, what that guy was telling us about. Those great UCLA teams. And I don't mean to poke you a little bit because I know North Carolina considers itself a basketball hub too.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So he was one of the great ones, but it was your hometown, North Carolina State Wolfpack, who took down the mighty Bruins in the 1974 semifinals and snapped their streak. So, there's a little punch back from North Carolina.
Yep, because that's even my team.
Yeah, that is NC State your team over North Carolina?
Yes, it is.
That is. Well, the Wolfpack, man, they got it going on. They've been there a few times. How about those Valvano years? Those were something else. That was a great story. I love college basketball and the excitement it brings. And I know you're a lot of part of the prep scene out in North Carolina that you use your photography to chronicle some of that. And tell me a little bit about just like North Carolina and what basketball, especially high school basketball, means to your community.
So in Wayne County, it means a lot because we have like different schools like Aycock, Eastern Wayne, Rosewood. that are very competitive, along with some of the private schools like Wayne Country Day is very competitive over like Green Central and like Southern Wayne and stuff like that.
I've usually been a Southern Wayne guy myself, but that's for another time. Brandon, one of the things when I came on your show, you asked us, and it kind of fired the troops up at my place. You asked me about, building the empire, and I never thought of ourselves in that context. I didn't think like we're building an empire. I just thought we were doing the next thing. But then you said that, and I told my crew, I said, hey, man, this guy thinks we're building an empire. Let's build the damn empire, right? Let's do it. And so we fired up the troops, and we got a little empire building going. And so I want to get Brandon to talk a little bit about that, but maybe we'll show the clip. Marley, do we have a clip? Okay, let's show the clip real quick, Brandon.
Talk about owning a sports empire like you've had.
Well, okay. It was actually better in real time. It was inspirational. Hey, Brandon, so you asked me that, and since then, did you see the beginning of the show where we talked about the SSDL bump?
Nice, good.
Are you good? Go ahead, Brandon.
Yes, I did see it.
And are you a believer? Do you believe in the SSDL bump?
Yes, I do.
Nice. Okay. So because you believe this is going to happen to you, next thing I know, I'm going to go, hey, because Brandon come back on the show? And it's going to be like, no, Brandon can't come back on the show. He's too big for you now. And I'll go like, all right, whatever. I'm glad he got our bump out of our show. Brandon, what are you doing to build your own empire? I understand you might be working on a few things. Like the last time we talked, if I'm not mistaken, you talked a little bit about wanting to have a more expansive website or a website, and that you even said something about writing a book. And I'm curious if you made move in any of those directions, because I don't know where you find the time, man. You're always interviewing and putting out podcasts, so you do a really good job of putting out the content. But are you trying to build your own empire?
Yes, I am. I'm actually planning on creating the website sometime this week. Because I have enough money, so hopefully sometime this week or next week, I plan on having Brandon Sports Talk's website out.
Tell me a little bit about why you started your sports talk, and maybe some of the guests that you've had on that have fired you up, that have moved you in the next direction.
So I started my sports talk because, like, in my area, there was not a lot of sports reporters out here, so I covered like the Wayne County area and stuff. And I've had like special guests like Landon Turner, who was a former Carolina Tar Heel player who now played in the NFL with the New Orleans Saints. I've had Marquise Williams on, former Tar Heel player that played in the XFL and NFL, along with some local coaches and other coaches around the area, such as I'm trying to get a lot of coaches out of the LA area. I've had, of course, sports stories with Denny Lennon on. I've had other sports business owners. I have a segment called Athlete Spotlight, Coaches Spotlight, and of course, Sports Business Owner Spotlight, where I interview local business owners and people out in the world that owns a sports business.
You know, you mentioned some of the Tar Heels you had on, Brandon, and it made me think. My friend, since I was in first grade, his name is Ray, but he's known on my show as the Box Cobbler. And when we were growing up, he loved some Michael Jordan, Dean Smith, and the Tar Heels, like so much so that we gave him a hard time about it because we were like, come on, dude, we're out here in Los Angeles. Why are you loving on those North Carolina team? But Brandon, I have found a way to bring in some of his talents to my show. And I don't know if you watched the show towards the end, but the guy who sings a little song at the end in funny faces and Snapchat filters, that's him. That's the Box Cobbler, and he gained some of his strength from the Tar Heel State. And I was wondering if you thought about like anybody in your life that maybe had a special talent you might want to tag at the end of your shows, like I do with the Box Cobbler.
There are a few people that I have been in the works with of talking about. And of course, I do have like the voice of my intro and outro is a local Mount Olive College, the University of Mount Olive College's voice.
Okay.
Shane Obby.
Shout out to the Mount Olive. What are they? What's their mascot? What's their nickname?
Trojans.
Shout out to the Mount Olive Trojans. Nice. All right. So he comes in, he does your intro and your outro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, love it. Okay, see, that's a little pizzazz right there. I'm gonna get the voice that Sam Lagana, who I interviewed, who's the voice of SoFi Stadium and the Rams, and I'm trying to get him back into the studio because now that we bumped his career so much, can't get a hold of him. But when I do get a hold of him, he's going to come in and he's going to do our introduction, and that'll be that. So I'm going to steal that idea from you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, no doubt. Now tell me a little bit about your photography, because I know you like to get behind the lens and shoot, and so you shoot the local high schools and colleges.
Yes, I shoot local high schools. Like, for example, I cover mostly ACOG because that's where I went to high school at, and then of course Rosewood, and then I do cover like the Mount Olive College, and I've covered like Carolina Tar Heels, like as a fan, but never as like a professional sports photographer. And then of course I have covered NC State as a fan too, along with ECU.
All right. So one time I just walked in to the training center for the Lakers over in El Segundo, and I walked in and I talked about how I was with the AAU, and Mitch Kupchak, he gave me a tour of the place. Right now we know Mitch Kupchak came out of North Carolina. I might be able to make a call. He makes a call. We get you a press credential to cover the Tar Heels.
Would love that.
All right, I'll work on it. Hey, my daughter's a photographer, and she does good work, and she shoots a bunch of stuff and puts it on our show. She does some behind the scenes images and a lot of other stuff. So I get that being a photographer, and sometimes everybody talks about always having to have video and stuff, but sometimes still photography tells a story even better than video.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that part of that art. And also I think people hang on to that. So I'll bet a lot of these athletes that you shoot, and then where that gets published, they probably save those photos. And that's pretty cool that you're a part of their life like that.
Yep. I send all the photos. Like, I get bunches of emails with asking about, can I have the photos? Can I have the photos?
That's right. And then what do? Yeah, for $7. Do you say that to him?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Attaboy. See, that's empire building right there, Brandon. We're getting it done. I say we do a bi-coastal empire build, and we just work our way towards the middle. We just take over everything, and we'll meet in Oklahoma City.
That's a wonderful idea.
I like it. All right, Brandon, you got anything else that you're getting after? Because I don't know if I covered everything, because the last time I got a chance to talk a lot on your podcast about what I was doing. But how about you? Got anything else you're getting after?
There are a few interviewees, like famous people, like the ESPN broadcaster, and I have a sports writer coming on tonight that y'all will check out.
Yeah, we will. Tell us. See, this I got to tell my crowd. This is what I get down with on Brandon. The guy puts in the work. He gets after it. Like Brandon, when I was coaching, if you were on my team, you'd be my guy, because I know you put in the work, baby. You put in the work and you get it done. So you're going to go from this show to doing an interview, right?
Yep.
I'm trying not to wear you out with too many questions here, because I need you to be sharp for later on. But that said, who's your guy tonight? Who's coming on your show?
It's an ESPN broadcaster that has wrote like in ESPN. His name is Earl something.
Yeah. Well, by game time, by showtime, you better learn his last name.
It's actually Zach Coden.
Oh, Zach Coden. Okay. All right. So, yeah, and I know how that goes. By game time, you're going to have the name down. Right? Yep. Because there's times you just go through the rep, and then all of a sudden, right up and boom, and then you come in strong. Because I remember for our interview, you were ready, you knew what I did, and you're good to go. And so I know you'll be strong there, no problem. All right, what else? Hey, you said something about you want to write a book.
Yes, I do. I want to help like sports podcasts, such as me, learn how to run a podcast, and of course, learn some tips and tricks about learning a podcast that I didn't know before I started, because I went in blind.
Yeah, and I've noticed, we all learn from one another, but I was looking up some of your stuff, and I think on Facebook, you have, I'm forgetting what it is, but there's a Facebook, and it's like a stream that goes to another place or something. Like it takes your podcast and it plays it out. somewhere? What's that called? Live stream Facebook or something like that?
I don't do live stream Facebook. I am on LinkedIn and stuff where I do get interviews, like, for example, the ESPN analyst that I have coming on Monday.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Hey, and so last thing, Brandon, because, you know, we're a national, we have a national, what do you think about my Dodgers and my Lakers both winning their respective championships?
Well, since I am out of Charlotte and I would love like my Golden State Warriors and of course the Charlotte Hornets to be in there, I was happy that the Los Angeles Lakers did win. But whenever it comes to the Dodgers, I'm a New York Yankees fan, so I wasn't that happy with the Dodgers winning.
That's your burden to carry, Brandon, and that's all right. Hey, how about LeBron jumping on my bandwagon with the shirt? What do you think about that?
That's a pretty cool.
Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I personally don't follow LeBron to see what he's doing and then I put on his clothes. But apparently the reverse happened.
I would love for people to do that for me.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. It's Empire. It's called Empire Building. I got that from you. Solid. That could be the title of your book. I'll loan that out to you. I've already trademarked Empire Building. I've already trademarked it, but I could loan it out to you if you want to make that for your book title.
Sounds good.
Hey, Brandon, you're the best, buddy. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, we'll see you soon, and let's keep doing this. I like Brandon, man. That's right. That's my guy out of North Carolina. If I want to find out anything about North Carolina, that's where I go. You know what?
Hi.
We're Empire Building.
I have the umpiring thing here.
Oh, yeah. Let's do some.
What advice would you give future sports business owners that's looking to start a business or even that has a business that's looking to go into umpiring?
That's what it is. Umpiring. That's what we're doing. Look, do you have the other graphic? LA 30. Okay. Since we talked to Brandon. Okay. So if we're talking about the bump, hopefully he gets a bump, right? But since we talked to him, we have been distributing. We got the syndication deal with LA 36. Then Apple TV, Firefox,
Fire TV.
Fire Stick, Fire TV,
Hulu,
Roku.
Everything.
These things happen. You think I'm making that up? I'm not. Look us up.
Look us up on the high school narrative.
And the high school narrative. See, any and all of that. It all happened because we started thinking about umpiring. All right, that's what we're doing. Hey, LeBron, easy. We're cool. You got us a championship. Love that. Okay, thanks, JT. Andre McCarter. Brilliant, man. I got to talk to somebody off of the 1975 team. I'm stoked on that one. That was brilliant, and Brandon was the best. Okay.
Wait, we got this. Ready?
Oh, well, yes. Am I voicing?
Yeah.
Okay, so we recently interviewed the Klein family. That would be Jimmy. And so, but I got Bob Klein coming up. Just booked this today. November 13th, Casablanca Restaurant. I'll be interviewing my boyhood idol. And then that same week, Jerry West. Wait, what? That's called umpiring, people. I get to talk to two of my boyhood idols, Jerry West and Bob Klein, in the same week. Thank you, Wayne Bowley. You're the best, setting up my Jerry West interview. That's coming up. So it's what, week after next?
Yeah.
I get to talk to Jerry West and Bob Klein in the same week. Bob Klein was holding my position with the Rams until I got there at tight end. And Jerry West, I never really thought I was going to take over for him. But I get to talk to both of those two in the same week. I got some studying to do. That said, just making an announcement here. We're gonna take a little bit of time off. I don't know how much time off of our live shows. The Wednesday and Friday shows, we're going to take a little time off. We're still going to be producing Tuesdays, Never Seen LA. Thursday video podcast. We're on 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. LA 36 with our show. We'll still be doing all of that. We're going to take a little time off the other because we need those hours to start building out a documentary. Wait, what? Yes, we're doing a documentary. We've taken the Madison 212 project that you might have seen in earlier episodes, something we shot last year. We're going to take that into documentary form, and we need to put in the work. So we're going to do that with the Alpha Command Unit.
Alpha Command Unit.
Alpha Command Unit, All Part Productions. We're going to be doing that. So That's where we'll be on these Wednesdays and Fridays. So you'll miss us for a little bit on Wednesdays and Fridays, but just know we're going to have a documentary ready for you. You can always find us just like right there, LA 36, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're also on all those OTT apps you can find on our website.
Which is what?
Umpiring is exhausting. Okay, thank you. We got some Bucks Cobbler kicking it out with Buck, and we'll see you soon.
Morning, America, how are ya? Don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the one they call the box cobbler. I'll be watching Sports Stories till it is done. Come watch Sports Stories with Denny Lennon. He's got very interesting people. And listen, don't forget to vote. It's important.
Thanks for watching and listening. Sports Stories with Denny Lennon is produced by me, Marley Rice, and Christine Jinbo.
Directed by Chris M. Alport, with studio support from Alpha Command Unit, and shot by bad boy Bobby McCall.
Original music courtesy of Lennon Music Production, and original images courtesy of Sienna Lennon Photography. A big thank you to all of our contributors of the show. Sports Stories with Denny Lennon is a production of Sports Stories, Inc., and available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, or wherever you watch and listen. Make sure you press that subscribe button, give us a review, leave a comment. It will really help us grow the show. And you know what else will help us grow the show? Head on over to patreon.com/Denny Lennon to get some never-before-seen videos, pictures, interviews, and so much more. We are all over social media and constantly sending out clips on Facebook, conducting fun polls on Twitter, going live on Instagram, and more. To find all of our social media links,
hustle on over to sportsstoriesdl.com.
SSDL proudly supports the My Stuff Bags Foundation and the Heroes Movement. Links to how you can support and help these foundations can be found on our website. We also want to give a big thank you to all of our partners of the show. So, as Coach Lennon would say, any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email me, Marley, at info@sportsstoriespodcast.com. We want to thank all of our followers and listeners, and we will see you next time.
Check it out, Buck.